coordinator, and I'm happy to introduce Becky Gillum. I'll read her bio. And if you joined in late, she's not from our area, she's in St. Louis. So this is the beauty of having Zoom. And I'm a big fan of her photography, but I'm going to read her bio and do my best. It starts out with a quote from the Proverbs from the Navajo Indians. And this is also on her website. With the beauty before me, may I walk with the beauty behind me. May I walk with beauty above me. May I walk with beauty below me. May I walk with beauty all around me. May I walk wandering on a trail of beauty, lively I walk. And that's a proverb. This quote is on her main page of her website. She tries to walk through the world in the same spirit and with her eyes open to all that she can see. Her interest in photography started when her mom and dad gave her a Polaroid camera for Christmas. That old Polaroid shot only black and white film, and she had to smear some kind of emulsion sponge over the photo once the paper was peeled back. The first photo that she ever took was of her cat, Mittens, and she still has that photo. Photography has come a long way since then, with Polaroids and film falling out of use in favor of digital photography. Back in the day, she developed film and printed in a darkroom. She does miss the amazement of watching a photograph come to life on a piece of paper in the developer tray, and to see if her very hit and miss dodging and burning an image under an enlarger worked. It usually didn't. That's been replaced with her developing digital photography on her computer. While digital is a totally different process than the darkroom, it's still amazing to her how a raw file can be morphed into a creation of her own. Digital processing still gives her the same thrill of working in a darkroom, but without all the smelly chemicals. Amen to that. And she ends with another quote: "We don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. Our vision is our own, and we should explore it as such." Welcome to Becky Gillum.
Hi, everyone. Hi, how are you guys? I'm so happy you guys asked me to judge this. It's an honor for me. And so thank you again for having me, and let's get started.
Okay, let me share my screen. Everybody see that?
Yes.
Good.
We're on monochrome first.
Okay, tonight's our general and monochrome. Since I have monochrome up, let's start with that. We have 38 images. We have 5 places and 5 honorable mentions. And time to start here. First up, Roses by Doug Mitchell.
Okay, I mean, just to preface the mono images, I just thought there were some very, very strong images in this category. And just like the general category, it was hard for me to, pick who's going to be the honorable mentions and the winners. So there's a lot of, I was really impressed with a lot of the photography. Okay, and this one, I love the composition and I love the building behind it. But, I kind of feel that the roses down there are maybe just a little bit lost in the midtones, and maybe they could be a little bit brighter. And that's all.
Next up is Cadence and Cascades, Neil Shapiro.
Okay, I love the composition here. Maybe some of the whites were blown out, but that's an easy fix by using some digital stacking of photos. That's good for me.
Next up is Music Hall, Doug Mitchell.
Okay, I mean, I think this is a really nice technical photo, and one of the things I would improve on, I think, is maybe try to shoot this at f/22 to get the little light stars a little more, a little more together. But a lot of times, even if you shoot at f/22, sun stars, these little light stars, are a function of the lens, and some lenses just don't do well with shooting sun stars because of the refraction in the lens. So But, overall, I think it's a nice photo, maybe a little bit more contrast, but it's good.
Next up is Good Morning Capitan, Neil Shapiro.
Okay. Yosemite is such an iconic place to shoot. And I think that every photographer should at least go once and shoot. I mean, it's one of the places I love dearly. And, I would love to see you maybe try to tone down the highlights on El Capitan. But I mean, I really love the reflection. You got a killer reflection, and I'm a sucker for reflections.
Next up is Black Creek Marsh, Rip Shrivestein.
Wait, I don't know where that one is. Um, Anyways, I like it. There are, I mean, I just feel like everything is kind of the same tone though, except for the sky. And I think you can, dodge and burn some of these rocks down here to bring out some of the highlights and the little grasses in the back. I think those can be, brightened up a bit and add a little bit more to the images. And some of the lighter trees, I would also do that too, also, just to dodge them a little bit. And I think it'll be a little bit stronger photo.
Next up is Bob and Friends, Patricia Garrett.
Okay. Well, I know this is a you did a good job in balancing the shadows and highlights, because I know you had probably had it was a very contrasty engine image, but you did a good job balancing them. And I know you were probably shooting on the fly, but it's one of those things that you should make this a practice to kind of recognize what's on the edges of your frames, and try not to do things like cut the sheep off or leave a big gap on the left, because those are cutting animals, people in half, is really not a a good thing. So I would either crop out the sheep and crop some of the crop out the sheep and crop some off the left, so your focus is more into the image.
Next up is Adorned, Lena Kesey.
Okay. You know, I know what you're trying to do. This is a very nice concept, and I do like water droplets, but I think maybe some of it you should have done some focus stacking, so you would have had a little bit more of the water droplets in focus. But I mean, it's a good first attempt, and you can continue to work on it. So
Next up is Glory, Jana Kaywood.
glory. Okay, here we go with sun stars again. Sun stars are, like I said, deceptively hard, and you can see all of the refraction, like little balls coming off of it. And I don't know. I love the church. I think it's a beautiful church, but I believe that the sun star being just so soft and with the little orbs coming off of it, it makes it, I don't know, more the focus of the photo than the church is. And I would rather see more focus on the church.
Next up is Needing a Shave, Sharon Silversmith.
Okay, well, I think this one, I just love the bark on this birch peeling. But I think, again, the image is a bit flat. It could use some uh, highlights, a little brighter highlights to accentuate the really really cool bark you have going on here. And maybe a little bit more contrast in the dark, in the darks. But I just really think the peeling bark is just amazing.
Next up is Portal, Joe Catronio.
Okay, I think this is a really cool concept photo. I mean, it reminds me of, I don't know, some kind of a gateway into the universe. And I just really like it. And I don't know if this was shot like this or was flipped, but I mean, it's just perfect with everything matching up and everything being the same size.
Next up is Chess Match Security, Rich Shrivestein.
Okay, wait, I gotta find this guy. Okay, I really like where this photo is going. Where's that? There it is. Yeah, I like what's going on. I mean, because there's such a contrast between, the two chess players just concentrating on their boards and the gentleman in the black t-shirt just giving you the eye. I mean, it's a real difference of contrast, and I just, um, you know, just think it's a fabulous image.
Up is Alpaca Effect, Marguerite Hill.
Okay, this is probably another. I mean, it's a really touching moment between the handler and the alpaca, where he's kind of giving her a kiss on the forehead. Uh, but I think the alpaca needs maybe a little bit more, contrast, especially in the whites, to bring out the whites a little more and to separate him from the background. And also, the handler's shirt is, I don't, just a little tad blown out, and maybe some dodging would help that.
Next up is Ann Lee Pond, Linda Tomasulo.
Okay. I mean, I've always loved these infrared photos, and I think this one is pretty exquisite. You know, um, I mean, I just love how, the whole pond goes around and the trees just kind of come back in. You can just see the weeds taking you around to the trees and leading you back in. And infrared skies are just amazing. You got a great sky on this one.
Next up is Laundry Day, Kim Koza.
What is Laundry Day? Huh, why don't I have this one? Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay, I think one thing was, I think the point of view on this, it's a nice photo. I love the concept of, hanging wash and the old cabin back there. But I think maybe if you would have changed your point of view to walk around a little bit more to the right-hand side, um, I think, and gotten a little bit more of the line, I think it would have been maybe a little stronger picture. And then maybe a little bit more contrast in the laundry, just to help it stand out from the cabin so it doesn't appear to be like the same tones as the cabin.
Next up is Hood Ornament, Ready for Takeoff, Linda Tomasulo.
Okay. I mean, this is a really nice documentary photo of, a time gone by. I mean, it's just a nice photo. I've seen hood ornaments like that, and you did a really good job, keeping your reflection out of it.
Next up is The Window, Sean Sullivan.
Okay, let me find the window. I do like this photo. It's another architectural photo that is done very well. I mean, the columns are straight. Everything is, perfectly aligned, and that's a wonderful thing. And I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it needs more contrast. I'm not 100% sure where to go with this photo. I mean, maybe, more contrast in the pillars where the light's hitting and less contrast up top where the little design is in the top of the building. And then maybe some dodging and burning to bring out some of those white marks in the marble or granite or whatever the building is made out of.
Next up is Lovely Dead Queen Anne's Lace, Donna Funk.
Lovely Dead Queen Anne's Lace. Sorry, I have to find my notes about this one. Okay. Okay, this is, I mean, I just love the concept behind this. I love how, I don't know, plants look after, they've died and they've dried out. It's a very, I don't know, symbolistic photo of, life and death. But I would say, I'm just going to say maybe the focus is just a tad soft on this one. So, I would continue to work on this and maybe add some focus stacking in so you can get a little bit more of the flower in, or the dead flower in focus.
Next up is Resting, Sean Sullivan.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I really love the pose that you captured here, but I would really love to see this where it's not so HDR-ish, but if that's your style, then hey, that's your style, and it's just my opinion, but I would like to see it just, just less HDR-ish.
Next up is Pond Princess, Anita Keesing.
Okay. I mean, I think this is a wonderful composition. The only thing I think I would probably do differently is, as soon as I find the notes. Okay. But I think the above part of the water lily's a bit blown out because it seems like you shot this in like midday sun or afternoon sun. But I would try, to do an exposure blend next time, because I don't think things are moving too much in the photo. So I would try, when you do it, I would do a -2 stops, a 0 stop, and a +2 stops, and then blend those together in HCR. And I think Lightroom also has this feature, but I mean I don't use Lightroom to process my photos, so I'm not exactly sure if they do or not. But that's the only difference I would make, just to try to kind of add some more detail into the top of the flower. I mean, you got great detail in the reflection.
Next up is Frog Buddies, Sharon Silversmith.
Okay. I love these guys sticking their little heads out of the water. But again, I mean, this photo feels a little flat to me. And I think that, maybe even if you didn't do anything with the background, but you kind of lightened up the frogs. You dodged the frogs to bring out more, contrast and make them brighter and make them stand out from the back of the rest of the pond. I think it would go a long way to making this a stronger image.
Next up is 1939 MGTB Special Babe, Dow Smith.
Okay, this is a cool photo. I mean, I'm not really sure how fast this guy was going, but you got everything dead on sharp with him. I mean, it's just such a, I don't know, just a cool car, and I mean, it's a great image of an awesome antique.
Next up is Duomo de Milano, Italian bed, so.
Something in Milan. Let me find my Milan. Of course, it's always in the last one. Okay, I mean, I just kind of, I mean, I've always liked photos of this. I know this is probably a cathedral or some other big building in Milan. I mean, I love the detail in the door. I love that the door takes you, and the sides of the door take you right up to that little cherub there. Even if you just cropped it off at the little straight, the little rectangular um, stone right above the cherub, I think that would be also good too, because I think my eye stops at that cherub. It doesn't need to go up to where other things are that are, frankly, a little hard to see. So, but that's all I would do.
Next up is heavy duty firepower, Bill Lanahan.
Uh, okay, well, I think this is in Gettysburg, if I'm not mistaken. But I do think that I gotta find it. Okay, and I just think maybe different point of view with this cannon would have made the picture a little stronger. It's I know you're already low, but it just seems like the wheels are overpowering the actual cannon. And and from your title, heavy duty firepower, I think you would want to be kind of more focusing on the cannon than the wheels. That's my opinion. So go ahead.
Next up is nautical abstract, Phil Olivo.
Nautical abstract. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay, and I think I think it's a nice concept, but I just think it would have been maybe a little stronger if you were able to move in on maybe 3 or 5 of the pattern of the ropes and hooks. It's just I don't know, it's just too much. There's just too much to look at, and I think it could be just changing up your point of view a little bit and focusing in on a more maybe make it a little more abstract.
Next up is view of a lock, Dan Steen.
Okay. I like this one. I mean, it's a really nice. I mean, you have a really nice point of view here. The only thing that I would probably do to this photo is this little black area here full of weeds on the right hand side. I think I would crop that out just because it's you want your eye to focus into the locks, and and it's a really dark area here, and it kind of draws your eye there because so that's what I would do. I would just crop that right there.
Next up is We Were Young Once, Phil Olivo.
Yeah, we were. We were young once. Where the heck is that? Anyways, I don't know. I just think this one there's a lot going on, and I think there needs to be maybe a little bit of separation between the small little building and the larger building, or maybe more of something where it's a little more, tighter into some of this. And don't worry about the trees, because it's, especially the one on the right, because it's just really basically kind of a jumbled mess that, I don't know, just doesn't really add anything to the photo. I mean, now if it was in color and this tree was in bloom, it would be, the tree would be a great addition. But just because it's just a jumbled mess in black and white, I think I would just kind of focus more on the two buildings, and try to create a little separation between the two.
Next up
I
is,
mean, whether you do that by, making the front building a little bit lighter and the back building a little bit darker. I mean, or you can walk around and see if you can find some other view. But there's a few ways to do it.
next up is Bartlett's View, Bill Lanahan.
Okay, I do like this one. I like how um, the rocks kind of lead you into the image, and that's I think it's a really great composition, having the rocks just lead your eye out into the trees kind of in the center, and they lead your eye further down into the pond, the creek, whatever. So, but I think it's a really great composition.
Next up is Vacant Tower, black and white, Dan Steen.
Beacon Tower. Okay, I mean, personally, I love those two little plants growing out of the top of the building. You know, I think they're fun. Maybe if you ever get if you have a telephoto lens, maybe kind of shoot up there and try to take them, because I think they're fun. The building's been there so long, it has trees growing out of it. Anyhow, but I would probably add just a touch more contrast. Maybe to bring out the whites and make some of the mid-tones a little bit more. Uh, you have a little bit more definition in the mid-tones.
Okay, honorable mentions. First up, Guarding the Shore, Sally Wilsey.
Okay, I love this guy. I mean, to me, he looks like a monster wading back into the sea after destroying Tokyo. The only thing I would suggest would be maybe cut off some of the sky, because it takes up a good third of the image, and I think you want to try to draw some more attention to this monster branch than to the sky.
Next honorable mention, Light in Alabama, Sally Wilsey.
Okay. I mean, I just love architectural photos like these. They are just, I mean, it's probably somewhere in, I don't know, the Middle East or India, but it's just a lovely photo with the light coming through. And the only thing that could have been, what would have been better, but you probably couldn't stand there forever, is that if you had light beams coming through all those little openings in the window and door.
Next up is I'm Not a Fan, Jonna Kaywood.
Okay. Okay, I really think this is a very creative shot and a really nice use of light. I mean, I don't know if it was a flash or whatever, but it's just lovely in how, everything all the snow is being blown out of the frame. And maybe the only thing I would do, probably just maybe a little crop on the left-hand side to bring more focus into her and the snow.
Next up is the next grocery store, Kim Koza.
Okay, welcome to your Escher photograph. There are, I mean, I just love, I mean, it really does remind me of an Escher a painting. There are just lines and light everywhere, and it seems like, you know, you could be walking all over everything, and it's just a wonderful composition, you know, a wonderful find, and you know, it's a good eye to see that.
Next up is Just Lying Around, Greg Effer.
I I love this guy. He's just pretty. You know, I think maybe for him too, I would add just a touch more contrast between the midtones and the highlights. Uh, you know, you can do that by just dodging, and I think it would help make it, you know, and maybe help draw, you know, maybe brighten his eyes a little bit too, to help draw some, and maybe sharpen them a little bit too, to help draw some attention right into his eyes. But it's a he's a wonderful animal.
Our winners in fifth place, Just Walk On By, Alan Wiggins.
Okay. Okay, perfect timing, you know, the juxtaposition of, you know, the people in the advertisements with the real person in the middle is just, I mean, it's perfect. A really, really, really wonderful street photography.
In fourth place, The Look, Alan Wiggins.
Okay, okay. These kids, I mean, my God, they're at the fair. You know, they got candy apples or caramel apples, and they just look like, I don't know, they're not happy. And I just think it's a really cool photo because you can see, you know, all this good stuff going around them, going around on around them, and they're just, you know. But I love how the photographer here got down on their level, you know, instead of standing up. So he was shooting down on them, you know. So I just like the child, like he got down to the child's point of view for this photo.
Third place, Sunflower from Behind, Joe Catronio.
Okay, just, I mean, okay, these last three places were pretty hard for me. Um, I mean, I just love this. It's the composition's great. The um, um, you know, exposure's wonderful. I mean, there's, you know, there's enough, you know, there's a lot of contrast between the little hairs on the leaves and the leaves to make them stand out, and it makes it, that, I think that's what makes the image, is just there's enough contrast between the leaves and the little hairs on the back of the leaves, and it's just gorgeous image.
In second place, Onions, Trisha Garrett.
Again, just beautiful. You know, I mean, and I think, you know, that that little onion skin over there just makes the photo. It just, I don't know, it just helps everything in this photo, and it's just a gorgeous photo.
And our first place winner, my brother, Dow Smith.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I only usually take portraits of my family because I know them. And you know, this portrait, I feel like I almost know your brother just because it's just, I mean, the lighting's perfect, his expression's perfect, the processing's perfect. You know, and there's, this is just a way, way gorgeous image.
Well, congratulations, Dow, and everybody else. Great black and white images. Uh, let's move on to our general category now. We have 44 images, 5 places, and 5 honorable mentions. First up, Canyon Light, Neil Shapiro.
Okay. Well, hard to beat a photo of the Grand Canyon. Um, I mean, I love the composition, because it just shows all the layers of, the canyon just there. I mean, just flowing into infinity. Um, I mean, the only thing I would maybe do is remove some of the contrast in the midtones, especially in the redder areas. Uh, so that's really the only thing I would do.
Next up is Anime Fangirl, Jana Kaywood.
Okay. Overall, I mean, this is a nice portrait of this girl, but I think I would have posed her on a less busy background because, I mean, there's just a lot to look at, and the background kind of pulls your eye away from the girl. I mean, maybe if you would have just moved her in front of the little skull image, because that seems like where she fits, um, and had a little tighter crop or focus point, I think it would be a much stronger image because, sometimes photography is about what you leave out, as much as what you include. And I think if, a lot of the rest of Tucson was left out, it would be a much stronger image. And,
Next up is Virtual Breakfast, Alina Kesey.
okay. I mean, easily the most creative photo I've seen. I think it's just a wonderful photo and really great concept. Um, I mean, I don't know how you came up with that, but it's a really great job.
Next up is Pileated Woodpecker, Bert Van Grondel.
Okay, the pileated woodpecker. I mean, I think you caught him in a really nice pose in a really nice tree, doing what woodpeckers do. But I do think the focus could be a little sharper. One thing you can try is to Google wildlife settings and save those into your camera. So when you do come across something like a woodpecker, or when you go out specifically to shoot animals, um, those settings are already saved in your camera and you don't have to fumble with them, because I know there are things like I have a wildlife setting in my camera, and I know there's an auto ISO is on, and but what happens is the focus menu, you select different things in the focus menu, and that makes all the difference in taking photos of little animals.
Okay, next up is Blue Moon, Ronald Spear.
Okay, well, this is a complicated image to get right, so I mean, good job giving it a try. I mean, the moon is a super bright object in the sky compared to the sky at night, and the difference in exposure, um, between is your camera can't capture the moon and the sky in one photo. So I mean, what you would have to do, you know, I mean, because if you capture the moon, the clouds are going to be so dark. If you expose for the moon, the clouds are going to be so dark. But if you expose for the clouds, the moon's going to be blown out as it is here. So what I would do would be to uh, you know, do just an exposure for the moon and do just an exposure for the sky and combine those together or blend them together in Photoshop. Just because your camera is not capable of capturing everything in the sea.
Up is Blue Jay, Joe Catronio.
Okay, basically, this is the same little thing I talked about with the pileated woodpecker. Again, focus is soft, but it's especially his face and his eye. I mean, his feet are in good focus, but I mean, if wildlife are gonna be shot, they have to be, their eyes have to be in focus. that's, it's a kind of a written rule of, unwritten rule of wildlife photography. So, look and find some wildlife settings and save them in your camera so you can, refer to the, you can have them ready to go when you see a bird or something you want to photograph.
Next up is the tunnel, Marguerite Hill.
Okay, okay. This this photo makes me think I'm stepping into the set of a space movie. I mean, I just really love the blue to green transition, and I think it's a great use of analogous colors. You know, just just really uh, an interesting image.
Next up is Carner Blue, Sharon Silversmith.
Okay, well, I mean, I wish your butterfly moth would have, or moth would have been on maybe a different background and maybe with a different point of view, because it seems like, almost to me, it seems like the tree or the shoe is more of a focus than the butterfly or moth.
Next up is Fountain of Youth, Ronald Spear.
Okay. Um, okay, this has, the makings of a great photo. And I think that you're, right on, you're on track to, become a little bit, to make these photos a little bit better. I think that if you would have shot this horizontally, okay, you would have less of the building, which does nothing for the image because it's just the building. Um, and then, and you wouldn't have cut off the woman and child on the right hand side. And again, cutting off people is, or animals is not, on the sides of a photo is not a good thing to do. And so it's always like you should always get in the habit of checking the sides of your frame to make sure there's not something weird like half people or some random stick sticking in. And I also think maybe if you would have, instead of standing straight on, maybe if you would have crouched down to the kids level, it would have really helped make your focus about the kids. And and one other thing, I mean, kind of straighten your image,
The
the
next up is
horizon.
Great Dune, Elena Kisu.
Okay. Okay, this is, Great Sand Dunes National Park. It is a great place to photograph. And it's very, very hard to get a photo without people in it. But at this look, but here, I don't mind having people in my sand dunes and footprints all over the sand dunes because it just shows you how massive these dunes are. And, I really like the composition. I like the waves and how they and the curves of the sand and the people in there. But I just think I would add, just a bit more contrast to the shadows and basically the whole photo. Make it real dramatic. I mean, because it probably was really dramatic when you were standing there. I would just make it a lot more dramatic.
Next up is Reeds and Reflections, Linda Thomas Sewell.
I mean, this is a really well done image. I guess I'm kind of a sucker for reflection photos, but I do like how you shot this at either sunrise or sunset, and you have some of the red glow in the water. It's I mean I see nothing really glaring about this picture. I would leave it like it is.
Next up is This Is Our Happy Place, Kim Kozel.
Okay, I gotta find that one. Okay, I mean, I want to say, first off, you live in a really great space. Okay, I mean, I would love to live here. Um, I mean, the only thing that I would probably do differently would be to, in the bottom left-hand corner, I would, move, either move the table back or, or, just kind of move up the crop to crop that out. And also I would maybe just move over the chair a little bit to the left so it's not being cut off by the edge of the frame. So because I think it, the chair and the lampshade nicely balance each other in this image.
Next up is Glorioso Daisy Bud, Donna Funk.
Let me see. That's what this- Okay. Well, macro photography, I mean, to me is it's very complicated. I mean, at least I think so because I'm basically pretty horrible at macro photography, and I'm not sure I could have gotten a better photo of this at all. I do like how the photo was framed and how and I love the colors in the background, the green and the yellow. But I don't know. There's very little in focus here, and and my eye really doesn't know where to look. But I mean, I would, you know, other than use a tripod and focus stack, I really don't have any other suggestions for you.
Okay, next up is Canadian Star, Nino Sapiro.
Okay. Okay, the reflection you captured is killer. I mean, it's a showstopper. I mean, and to me, this photo is all about that mountain and that mountain's reflection. And I feel like the sun star is just taken away, some of the thunder from the mountain and the reflection. And I think maybe the sun star should be excluded by cropping, at the little green areas where the little green bushes, shrubs are on the bottom near the water. I would just crop those off, and it's going to be just a much more stronger image because you have that curve of the front sandbar and the mountains, and it's just like that curve hugs the reflection. It's just that's what you want to look at in this picture.
Next up is Ready for My Portrait, Thomas Whitmore.
Okay. Okay, I would love to see a photo of this horse, this majestic horse. I mean, without the people in it. I mean, he is just staring right at the camera. Maybe just you know, get a little closer to him. But I mean, the people really kind of distract from how majestic this horse is.
Next up is Burning Off, Tricia Geller.
I mean, I'm also a sucker for fog shots. And I think this one is well conceived. I mean, and the sun isn't blown out, and the reflection is nice. Um, so I think this is a really well done photo.
Next up is Stragglers, Thomas Whitmore.
Okay. Stragglers. Okay, this one. I mean, it's a fine documentary photo of a tree, but I think maybe in the future, maybe try to change your point of view. Try different lenses, zoom in, zoom out, step back, go right under the tree, shoot straight up into the tree, you know I think somehow you'll find a better composition, because it's just, I mean, it's a fine photo as it is, but I just think that there's a better composition out there for this tree, and I think that, you could probably, you know, come up with something a little better than.
Next up is Autumn at Indian Lake, Linda Thomas Sewell.
Okay. Okay, I think, I love the reflection again. But I think this is another example of, where I think less would probably be more in this picture. The dead pine trees on the right, I mean, don't really add anything to the photo. And I would love to see the two yellow trees and the orange and red tree, just the total focus of this image, because that would be just, I think it would just be a killer shot. So, sometimes, taking a few steps over and, and looking what's in your frame that frankly doesn't really add anything to the frame, because they're just dead trees. I mean, yeah, maybe if it was wintertime and there was snow on them and there was ice on the pond, it would be a whole different, scene. But I just think maybe just a few steps to the left and, focus on those bright trees and their reflections, because I like how the reflections from what you can't see up above on the top of are, you can see the reflections down in the bottom. I mean, it's,
Next up is Green Bee, Joe Catronio.
I think this photos are nicely balanced between the flower and the bee. And, and I think maybe the focus could be, of the flower could be a little better. But then again, I know it's a bee and it's probably moving and it's hard to get everything in the focus. And I wish I could help you have more strategies to deal with this, but I'm sorry. I just I just don't know how. I mean, you took a better picture of a bee than I ever would have.
Next up is Peeping Through the Leaves, Sean Sullivan.
Okay, overall, I like the concept of this photo. I mean, I have similar photos where I've done the same thing. And again, the sun star thing. It's whatever. And I know you probably shot this at f/22 because everything looks like it's in really sharp focus. I mean, the only thing that I would probably do was reduce some of the contrast in the leaves, because you are shooting directly into the sun.
Next up is Fall, Kim Koza.
Well, this is a cliche photo of train tracks that's been overdone. That's
Next up, The Ridge Runs Through It, Jana Kaywood.
I mean, I do like this. It's a very nice atmospheric photo, but I do believe I would remove some of the contrast in the image to help bring out the more foggy and dreamy feeling of the image.
Next up is Lake House in Autumn, Rich Schreibstein.
Find Lake House in Autumn. Okay, I mean, again, a great reflection. I mean, just, amazing. And I would, I do like the composition of this. Maybe a little bit of the left needs to, be cropped off, but that's up to you. Yeah, I don't mind it, but maybe just a little bit of it. And I just think maybe you should maybe dial back some of the contrast in the image just because it was shot in bright daylight.
Next up is Vermont maple syrup, Dow Smith.
Okay. Okay, I mean, it's a really nicely composed image. I do like the reflection of the maple syrup in the mirror. And I do love that you got that. You could see the vanilla bean in the maple syrup bottles. Yeah, and good job.
Next up is Lark Street at Peach Shrivestein.
Okay, again, I do like this picture. It's a really nice uh, street street photography. I love all the colors, the yellow and orange of the tree, the greenish yellow building, the red building, and I like that the guy is dressed in dark colors, so he is not fighting with the image. But I think it's a wonderful image.
Next up is Rolling Hills, Bill Lanahan.
It's over here. Okay, I really like the composition here with the road and the rolling hills and the shadow and the farm down there. I mean, and you know, and if you didn't use a tripod, you probably shot this with a telephoto lens. It looks like, and if you didn't use a tripod, next time, I would use one to maybe try to get a little bit of a sharper image because any little movement on a telephoto lens is going to give you a slight softness to your image. And the one other thing, I would just probably clone out those uh, brightly lit telephone poles because they're just a little distracting. But overall, it's a solid image.
Next up is Potter with Girl, Dan Steen.
Okay. I mean, I like where you're going with this photo, but I think this photo would benefit from some, closer framing to help you tell the story that you want to tell of the girl and the potter. Um, and I think, you know, if you cut the image off just above her knees and you get rid of the bottom of the potting wheel, I mean, I think this would make this a stronger image just because it's the 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 bottom part of the image doesn't do anything to help you tell your story.
Next up is The Best Part of a Hike, Greg Effner.
Oh, hey, I feel ya. I do the same thing though. I think my feet would be in the water. I'd have the boots off and my feet would be in the water. um, but I think this again. This is a kind of another cliche shot that's been overdone. I mean, maybe next time, just stick your feet in the water and have your toes sticking up and take a picture of your toes in the water. I think that way might make it something a little more interesting.
Next up is Trail in the Fall, Burt Pengrondell.
Okay, this is. I mean, it's a very nice photo of the trail, of a trail. Let me find my notes. But I think that it's one of those photos where I think if you changed your point of view, you could really make this into something special by not just standing straight. I mean, maybe if you crouch down, or maybe if you even lied on the ground and had a pile of leaves in front of you and kind of shot it up into the leaves and made it look like the leaves were this big pile on the trail and up into the trees. I think there's this photo would benefit from a different point of view.
Next up is City Hall Eye, Bill Lanahan.
Okay. Okay, I mean, this is amazing that you saw this. I mean, it does look like an eye. It's just it's a really, really great find. Uh, and the only thing I could tell you is go back and give it another go and, um, maybe, get a little bit everything a little bit sharper in focus, but it's a really great find, and, you have a really good eye to be able to see this.
Next up is early morning at Paradox Lake, Greg F.
Okay, well, this one, yeah, I'm not sure here. I do like how the little reeds, kind of lead you into the picture and to the rocks there. And, but I just, and I think maybe maybe you should maybe just change your point of view just a little bit. So those rocks on the left-hand side kind of look like they're going more out into the lake to help lead your eye out into, the trees at the end of the lake. But otherwise, it's nicely uh, processed.
Next up is trumpet player Alan Wiggins.
Well, hey, I'm glad to see that you actually got in and got close to this trumpet player. I mean, I think it really helps to tell the story a little bit more by just getting rid of all the things that would be distractions in the photo. So I think this is a really nice job of framing, and you did a great job.
Next up is Ranunculus Ridges, Brian Hoffman.
Okay, this is a great photo. I mean, this was one that I would never know how to take, but I mean, everything is just perfect here. The composition, the lighting. I mean, it's just amazing.
Next up is Why Would You Do This? Phil Olivo.
Uh, I do this all the time. I always take photos with my cell phone. I mean, sometimes to share with family, but a lot of times also to help me work on a composition. Because sometimes I don't know, just looking through your iPhone is a lot easier than looking through your camera, and you get feedback right away. But I mean, but it is what it is, and maybe this could also have maybe a different point of view. Maybe move over more to his. I don't know because I don't know exactly what's down there, but maybe somehow try to see what he is taking a photo of.
Honorable mentions. First up, The Wings Artistry, Sally Wilsey.
Okay, I'm a sucker for sand dunes too. In case uh, I'm a sucker for a lot of things. Anyhow, I just love the ripples in the sand dunes. I like the composition. I like how the the shadows start up in the corner and they get bigger as they come down, and it kind of is opposite of the bottom part of the sand dune. And I just think that's a real good juxtaposition of the shadows and the foreground. Um, I mean, probably the only thing I would do a little differently is go into the shadows and maybe just take out those little hooty doo things. I know they're like little branches and pieces of stuff, but I think that would just make it a little bit better.
Okay. And next honorable mention is New York City's Many Facets, Sharon Silversmith.
Okay, this is another one where I mean I'm just amazed that you were able to see this. It's just there's reflections of trees and people and buildings and I don't know all of what, but it's just really kind of an amazing photo. I mean, the only thing I would probably do differently is crop out the sidewalk. I don't think it's necessary for this photo. And, and it'll make it look, just a bit more abstract and like it's almost like floating in the sky.
Next up, honorable mention is Port Cabrillo Lighthouse in the Fog, Dow Smith.
Okay. Beautiful image, I mean, the fog just makes things very mysterious and it adds a whole other dimension to, an image. And I just think, it's perfectly framed and composed and it's a wonderful image.
Next honorable mention is Yankee Grand Slam, Sean Sullivan.
Okay. Okay. This is a great concept for a sports photo. It is not your typical sports photo. And I really like it. I mean, you did a great job capturing the sky and and processing this so that all the catcher, the umpire, all the people in the stands are the same, but you can see this guy moving through. But it's a great concept for a sports photo. So different. And good for you to think of something like this.
And our last honorable mention is Low Tide as Abstract, Dan Steen.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I just love how these, maybe I would, maybe crop some of the left off, but I don't think, that's up to you whether you want to do it. But I do like how the seaweed plants kind of just lead into the little snail shell there, and then and the barnacles kind of follow along. I just think it's a lovely framed image, lovely composition.
Okay, and our winners in fifth place, Blown Away, Sally Wilson.
Okay, this photo, I'm I mean, I love it. I feel like I'm almost standing there and feeling, the wind and the sand, whipping, whipping on my face. It's just a lovely image. But what really makes this stand out to me is that windmill up in the corner. I mean, where are you with sand dunes that there's a windmill? I mean, these look like coastal plants. And so this photo really intrigues me, and it opens up all kind of questions to me, and I really like that.
In fourth place, Peak Season, Patricia Garrett.
Okay, you know, I I love how the stream, pond, whatever it is, just takes your eye all the way back into the fall trees in the background. I mean, it just draws your eye back to those. But there's only one thing I would do different with this photo was I wish that you would have stepped over that little berm or stones or whatever that is in the left-hand corner, because that's the one thing that's distracts. And again, it's one of those things that you have to look at around your frame to make sure you don't have a distracting element. And this is a distracting element, but I mean, you can fix this and, in Photoshop easily. Uh, so, I mean, I just think it's just a wonderful image how your eye just moves through the image.
Third place, Grand Staircase, Phil Olivo.
Okay. Um, I just think this one's cool. It's an old building with graffiti, and I guess it used to be a grand building at one time. And it's one of those things where, well, I've been in buildings like this before, and it's like, well, should I go up? Should I go down? Well, it's dark down. I don't know. Is it dark up? And you kind of wonder where the ghosts are, and it's just this just has all kind of it makes me think it has so many questions about where the down staircase and the up staircase go.
Second place, Zoe Doug Mitchell.
Okay, number one and number two were super hard to decide on. I just love her pose. I just love the lighting and the simplicity of this photo. I mean, there is nothing in here that's going to distract you from the main subject, which is her. And it's just, I mean, just exquisite.
And our first place winner, the heart of the matter, Brian Hoffman.
Okay. I mean, I just love this composition. I love the lighting again. I mean, just that little green center is just wonderful. And it adds like a contrast to the whole image. And that makes the image, I mean, I know you had the other one with just the sides, but this one blows that image away. This is just beautiful. The lighting, the composition, and the processing.
So congratulations, everyone. Great images as always. Congratulations to Brian for winning. And thank you to our judge, for Becky, for her commentary.
Well, thank you for
judge our competition. Much appreciated.
Great comments, Becky. Yeah.
Everybody can now unmute and ask questions or.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody has any questions about my commentary on their photo, please ask.
Well, I think you did great comments all along, and you did your best to find the right image to talk about, even though I really think somehow we should get the image number in there. I said to Sean, that would help.
I know. I mean, I thought he would have just kept it in order, except pull out the, and I'm like, oh wait, I don't know where this one is.
But maybe you could display it. Yeah, maybe you could display the image number or something. Yeah. But you kept good notes, and if you weren't reading from your notes, you did a great job analyzing on the spot. Yeah.
Well, there were a couple pictures I didn't have anything for, and I don't know why I didn't write anything down.
Well, it's still.
I've tried in the past to get the images to stay in the order that you see them at, and it comes with a lot of work.
Oh, I know. You did a ton of work on your end, so
I have to figure out a way of adding a random number to the beginning of the title that I can use to sort them by, so that would make it easier.
And display it for her, for the judge, so they can see it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
But great job.
I mean, really, thank you. But if anyone wants to, have any questions about anything, I mean, I'm happy to answer. Guys, for allowing me to do this and listening to my opinion on your photos, because it's just my opinion. So take it with a grain of salt.
Well, thank you, everybody.
Congratulations, everyone.
Next week is our event night. I'm not sure which speaker it is.
Thank you, Rebecca.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Hey, everybody.